Hi guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Draven updated commentary guide. So I haven't done a Draven guide in a long time. I did a complete guide quite a while ago on Draven, and honestly, obviously, his build has changed. We might do an updated complete guide if need be, but here we're gonna just do a commentary guide because this obviously is not ranked. As you guys can see, Zenry is still practicing that thresh. So basically his build, the first two items are still the same. You still go Bloodthirster first and then into the Infinity Edge. But third item you go for the Essence Reaver. And then after it, probably more Reminder and got an Angel just for the Grievous Wounds and the Penetration as well as the Survivability. So Draven, this video of Draven was actually recorded in patch 2.4 and now it's running through 2.4a. Which is even better for Draven because Bloodthirster, although the cost went up by 100, it gives him another 10 extra AD, which is what Draven wants. The main stats Draven wants is AD and crit because he scales very well with AD on his spinning axes. And of course with crit, if you crit you can do even more damage. Attack speed isn't really valuable to Draven because he already gets attack speed from his second ability, his Blood Rush. So yeah. There is a Draven build that involves using Solari Charge Blade, but I don't really agree with it because Draven can spam his second skill in fights to keep getting attack speed and movement speed, which is what you are supposed to be doing. But I just feel like this build is better. Like building more AD is better than building attack speed because the Solari Charge Blade really just gives you attack speed and crit. Attack speed you don't really need. The crit of course is nice, and the true damage at lower HP is nice. But I don't really feel that that is really needed because Draven doesn't really need ability haste or attack speed anyway. So I don't really like the Solari Charge Blade build, but definitely it is viable. So here the enemy team clearly has had some kind of miscommunications because we have a Darius support. Now unfortunately I didn't catch my X and I flash forward for the auto because I would have gotten the kill, but they did heal, so bad tracking of summoner spells on my end. So we don't actually manage to get the kill because Darius, sorry, actually it's not Darius, Ezreal healed the Darius, so which allowed the Darius to survive, and here they're actually trading pretty well considering they're trading against a Draven. So here Darius misses his pull and we are relatively low. But we're just gonna stay around to pick up the CS. Ezreal honestly can't really harass you as long as you stay behind your minions, and Darius has to get into melee range to harass you, so this might seem a little bit dangerous, but honestly it's actually pretty safe because there really isn't too much that he can do. He can shoot his W through the minions, yes, but he can't shoot his Q through the minions. So as long as I look up for my positioning, I won't be able to get hit by Darius or Ezreal. Alright, so as you guys can see, the Thresh is kind of setting up what could be a trap. Here while I'm just clearing the waves and catching my X's just to charge up my League of Draven passive, so when I finally do get the kill, it's all gonna be good. Unfortunately another miss hook there, but here Master Yi actually comes in, so of course we're gonna have to go in. Darius with a pretty nice hook, I barrier and managed to pick up the kill with my ulti, and Master Yi picks up the Ezreal as well, so that is pretty nice gank my Master Yi considering the enemy team were a little bit far up the lane. I wouldn't say overextended, but they're a little bit far up the lane. So of course before we back, we gotta shove in the minion wave so that they lose some minions. Darius and Ezreal have actually already respawned, and Darius is already on the way to the lane. Here Ezreal with his ult to interrupt my recall. Not sure if that was the best move. I wouldn't say it's a bad move, but I'm not sure if that was the best move.
Perfection.
So I'm just gonna pick up my Bloodthirster, have just enough gold for the Bloodthirster. So here we hit a major power spike with the Bloodthirster. Of course, Draven's dueling potential after Bloodthirster is really high because he does so much damage and he heals up from the damage that he does. That's why Bloodthirster is pretty much the best first item on Draven. So here, managed to pick up majority of the CS from the wave, like about half. Here Thresh being a little bit aggressive, but doesn't really throw out the lantern for me to follow up, but thankfully the hook doesn't land, so no missed opportunities there. Darius of course is walking back to lane, so we'll try to get out some harass on him, also proccing his bone plating so when we do actually go all in, that wouldn't be an issue for the next 45 seconds or so. Alright, flay Darius out of the tower, and we're just gonna of course get off as much damage as possible. Unfortunately Darius Still has about a quarter HP. But we are of course full HP, although Thresh is about at a third HP, so that's not really the best. Here we spot out the Graves doing our jungle camp. Or do we? Maybe we don't. It doesn't seem like we're responding to it at all, so probably we don't actually spot him up. Here Darius comes in for the hook. I try to CC him. Graves actually coming in, responding a little bit late, so they aren't really coordinated. I managed to flash forward for the kill, so even if I die here, it's really not the worst. But I don't think I am going to die here. Instead, I'm going to pick up the Graves as well, and I'm also going to pick up the Ezreal. So it's a 1 for 3 trade and a triple kill for me. This is what Draven wants to achieve, of course, which is a lot of early game kills. From there, you can pretty much snowball the game and just pretty much win the game. Draven, of course, is really strong in the early and mid game. If you get to the late game, he gets outscaled by everybody. Of course, his auto still hit like a truck, but all the other AD carries pretty much outscale him. So here, Dragon is up. So we're gonna just take the fruit and we're going to just do the dragon. But something that I learned about Draven playing him over all these months is that you really don't want to greed for kills. Now if you trade 1 for 1 where you actually pick up the kill before your opponent, you could say that it's worth it because you get the cash in on your League of Draven stacks, whereas your opponent doesn't get any bonus gold. So you could say trading 1 for 1 is worth it, and there is a very good argument for that. But the thing is, there are plenty of situations where you don't end up trading 1 for 1. Yeah? Your opponent ends up living on 1 HP, and you die. And you lose like half your stacks, and your opponent doesn't die at all. So even if you die first and your opponent dies later, at least you get a kill and half of your League of Draven stacks. But if you die and your opponent doesn't, you get nothing except a death. So of course, we are going to try to participate in that fight with our Whirling Death ultimate, although the fight doesn't really go well. Yeah, so you generally don't want to be over-aggressive on Draven in the early game. By over-aggressive, I mean like chasing very, very hard for kills and overextending very, very hard for kills. You want to definitely be aggressive, because if you're not playing Draven aggressively, you're not playing him right. You have to be pressuring your enemy, you have to be trying to auto-attack them in the lane like so. Even if it's not going all in, you want to get us some auto attacks them to chunk them out. That is Draven's form of poke. Draven's literal poke is auto attacking his enemies just because his auto attacks hit like a truck. So you want to be harassing your enemies, you want to be putting pressure on your enemies, but you don't want to overextend to do so, or you don't want to overcommit to a kill unless you are very, very sure that you can get it. So that is the tips that I would give for Draven. Now, I have, of course, already picked up my BF sword, as well as the crit gloves and the Gluttonous Greaves. Gluttonous Greaves in general is really good for Draven, because, of course, Draven, with his very high damage, any kind of lifesteal is going to be great on Draven, just because of how much damage he does, so he's going to lifesteal a lot. Now, in case you guys are curious, my runes in this match are Conqueror, as well as Champion. Yes, I have actually taken Champion because Draven really wants the early game damage to snowball. As you guys can see, I haven't died yet. Even if you die like once or twice, if you manage to get value out of your Champion rune by getting a couple of kills before you die, it's fine. Champion is still worth it. So actually, honestly, I don't even know if I needed to flash there because I didn't actually aggro the enemies, so I wouldn't actually take any aggro. So unfortunately, Darius picks up the kill on me there, so there goes one Champion stack. Yeah, so Champion is worth it. At this point in time, Champion has already been worth it because I already have 4 kills and 2 assists from the Champion extra damage. And just losing all my Champion stacks now wouldn't really matter. I also took Adaptive Carapace instead of Hunter Titan like I normally do. Now the reason for that is actually because Adaptive Carapace is really good at one-on-one duels, and especially in the laning phase. And for Draven's case, my personal feel is that his laning phase is the most important, because if you get a hit in your laning phase, the rest of the game is going to be easy, whereas if you get put behind in the laning phase, the rest of the game is going to be hell. So you want to just pretty much have a good laning phase and get some kills in the laning phase if at all possible. And with Adaptive Carapace, when you go below 50% health, you get 12, most of the time it's 12 armor, because you're going to be fighting an AD carry. But if this is support, you might get 12 magic resist. Either way, the defenses is going to be really helpful. Here, I know I have the damage, so I'm just going to go in and take a couple tower shots to get the kill. And of course, for the last rune, I always take Sweet Tooth. So if you guys saw that one auto on the minion restored a pretty sizable amount of health, considering that I was really low. But of course, there are no more minions to auto attack, there's no fruit, nothing. So I'm going to have to back here to restore my HP. Also notice I've completed my Infinity Edge as well. So of course with every item completion you have a power spike. I even get a stasis enchant just for a little bit more safety, like when Malphite wants to ult, when Darius wants to ult, kind of deal. So here my team is again in yet another skirmish where there are you know, 2 casualties on each side. So it's a so-called even trade. And Thresh lands a nice hook there. Not much I can do to follow up on the hook itself, but I can actually just chase down the Ezreal for the kill. So Yasuo goes in. Probably we should have gone in there with him. She was at about half health. Probably 2 auto attacks from me would have killed her. But I was a little bit more concerned about clearing the minion wave. A little bit of a mistake on my part. Yasuo nearly pays right, but thankfully he gets out relatively unscathed. Of course, gotta put a ward down on the dragon to see it, to just get vision on it in case the enemies want to go for it. Here I'm just gonna get priority in mid lane because dragon is up, so you want to get that mid lane priority. And since no one is really showing up, I'm gonna just get 1 auto attack on the tower before everybody shows up, and I don't really want to stay for that. So as you guys can see, my team is spread out all over the map, even though there's a dragon that is up. So here I'm into a duel with Darius. This is not a very good duel for me to take because as you guys can see, he can stack up on me, and if he outs me here, I would either be dead or really close to dead. So I don't want to really fight him in close quarters. So here, look at how much lifesteal I have. I'm going to use the red buff to lifesteal up. And then I'm going to use the minions to lifesteal up. So here the red buff actually reset because I was kiting away from the red buff onto the minions. But I decided not to go for it. I decided to go for the minions instead because the minions are doing damage to the tower. Red buff a little bit less important compared to the tower. And I don't have time to pick it up because a dragon fight is already going on. So I'm going to try to influence the fight. Unfortunately, I come in and there's nobody left here. I kind of end up getting a flank position on the enemy team as an AD carry, which is pretty weird. And I also managed to pick up the kill on the Darius before he can kill me, thankfully. As you can see, red buff is still there and untouched. So here I'm just gonna back and get health because basically just get health, get items. I could of course lifesteal off the red buff again, but I can pick up my Essence Reaver, so it's a really good time to back. Here I'm ulting Dragon just to check whether they are there or not, and if they are, to get off some damage. I believe Graves is there. Yep, I hit Graves on the return. So here, as you guys can see, I have a little bit of weird positioning, but the so-called weird positioning is just so that I can reposition my ult when it comes back. So sometimes you gotta do that as Draven. Of course, if you're in a fight, as in you're auto-attacking someone in a fight, don't move in weird ways just for your ult. Just focus on your auto-attacking, but in that case, I was walking out of base, so I could afford the time to reposition my ult. So here the bot tower is still standing, so I want to get that bot tower. Darius unfortunately has come to defend, so I can't really just walk in and get it. But I can, however, just auto-attack it and walk out, auto-attack it and walk out, because Darius doesn't have the range to stop me. Here I shove Darius away, get off some auto-attacks on him. I take the lantern. Honestly, maybe not the best move because it got me really close with the Darius. Here I ult to finish him off with kind of like a semi-snipe. And we're gonna just go straight up go for the dragon. Graves is in the top lane, so there is no smite in the near vicinity. So Graves of course can't just instantly teleport to the dragon, so this is a safe dragon to take, even though our own team has no smite. So here, of course, picking up the Infernal Dragon, really important pickup. Infernal generally is the best dragon to most people. So here, of course, we are basically more or less always topped up in terms of health, as long as we have something to auto attack. Not a tower, of course, but any kind of minion or jungle monster, we will get topped up like so. As you can see, we're already over-healing into the Bloodthirster shield. We have 3 items as well as our completed Zanya, so at this point we are really strong. So what we are looking to do here is to end the game, because Draven is going to fall off slowly. Ezreal definitely outskills Draven in the later stages of the game when he gets this Ezreal isn't going for Triforce, but when he gets actually he is going for Triforce. He has gone for both Triforce and Frozen Gauntlet. Really strange build. But when he gets his Triforce, his upgraded Mana Immune like now, and like maybe he starts going like a little bit more defensively, maybe gets Sorelda's Grudge, or maybe gets like Death's Dance and all, he is definitely going to be able to at least fight Draven. maybe at the same amount of items, but of course I am relatively ahead. Ezreal is honestly not doing too bad himself. He's 5 and 4, so he's not doing too bad. But Draven wants to end the game quickly, whatever the case is. Even if your enemy team doesn't really have a scaling AD carry, you always want to end the game early. As you guys can see, Graves, Lux, and Ezreal scale very well. Whereas on my team, probably Master Yi scales the best. Maybe Ahri not too bad either. But their team definitely outscales us, and especially when I'm Draven, I'm gonna get outscaled really easily. So at this point in time, shouldn't be messing about. We should be trying to, I wouldn't say trying to end the game right at this moment, but we should be trying to like find fights that allow us to end the game, or find fights that allow us to pick up Baron, get Baron and try to end the game, or minimally destroy some inhibs to get some pressure. So here I actually wanted to get the red buff, but Master Yi didn't really want to give it to me, so I couldn't give him the thumbs up emote. Here I'm really strong. I've also completed my Moral Reminder, so I have that healing reduction, especially for people like the Darius, who is going to be doing a lot of healing, and also that penetration from Malphite, who is building full tank. So really going to be helpful, the Moral Reminder. Honestly, in some games you don't even have to pick up Moral Reminder if you know, the enemy team doesn't have any armor or doesn't have any healing. You don't even have to pick up Moral Reminder. You can just go for more damage or more survivability. Like, you could go for something like a Death's Dance for a lot of extra survivability. For every second Draven survives, he can heal up so much just from his auto attack. So Death's Dance is a really good item on Draven, although I don't really build it in this particular game. Between Guardian Angel and Death's Dance, there is also an argument for Death's Dance over Guardian Angel, because Guardian Angel does give you armor and AD, which is of course stats that you want, as well as that revive. But you know, Death's Dance also gives you AD. It gives you ability haste, not really a stat that you want, but it does give you that life steal, which is what you want, and that passive, which lets you take damage at a slower rate, or rather I should say converts 30% of the damage into bleed over time, which will be very helpful for Draven. It's definitely a great item for Draven. So you have a couple of different itemization options at the end. But of course I am going for the Guardian Angel, and in this case I'm just going for the BF Sword first. Draven loves the AD rather than the armor, whereas on some other AD carries I actually go for the Chain Vest first, because I want to get an injection of armor, just because the enemy team has a lot of AD threats majority of the games. Like in this game, Graves, Darius, and Ezreal are all AD threats, so you know, you do want to get something for that. So here me and Ahri trying to set up a ambush where Thresh just went in by himself. So we do get that Ahri gets the charm off onto the Lux. Lux is instantly gone, but Malphite just managed to ult me. I'm gonna have to try to kite him out with my lifesteal. He does ignite me, but thankfully me and Ahri managed to take him down, and I'm 1 HP, so I'm just gonna recall. Not sure if I can actually get my Guardian Angel, but that might be a possibility. Of course, on the ult to influence the fight. Ult does a sizable chunk of damage, honestly, not enough to pick up the Guardian Angel, but it does a sizable amount of damage, so it's gonna help my team pick up those kills, help me get those assists as well. You pretty much want to ult whenever you have opportunity to hit multiple people, or if you can hit like one person and, you know, deal a chunk of damage to him. There are many ways to use your ult. Of course, for sniping, to like influence team fights from across the map, or just like in a 1v1 where you need a burst of damage, because your ult, if it hits both the forward and the return, it actually does a lot of damage. It out damages your auto attacks, so it does actually do a lot of damage. So here I am already at full build. I finally picked up the Guardian Angel, and I'm still, you know, my stats are still pretty good. I still have one champion stack left intact, and with my Guardian Angel, it's a lot harder to lose that champion stack. So of course, Elder Dragon and Baron are both up, so we want to be playing around objectives here. Me and the Thresh are in the area, and the entire enemy team is in the area, but who is not in the area are jungler Master Yi, who is for some reason on the opposite side of the map. So here I'm going to try to take the Ezreal out of the equation. Unfortunately, he does have the Arcane Shift to get out of the way. Ezreal's still in the general area. He's really low. I pick up the Lux, cashing in all my stacks there. I pick up the Graves as well, and the Ezreal for the triple, and Zanya's just to be safe. But here, honestly nothing I can do against the Malphite. He has point and click abilities, so he does prop my Guardian Angel, and I'm stuck with a Darius in close proximity, so I barely die, nearly survived there. So there goes my other champion stack, but not that it really matters because the game is over and done with. So I have done my job. I've gotten the triple kill. I've gotten the damage off on the Darius and the Malphite, enough for my team to clean up the fight and end the game. So of course, it is a 20-minute game, which is longer than Draven would like, but still not long enough for the enemy team to scale up and, you know, just wreck me. So with that, guys, that's the end of the Draven updated commentary guide. So I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys for watching the video, and goodbye.